Some alarming news here regarding the Usyk-Fury negotiations. Bob Arum says there are two locations for this potential fight, one of them being Saudi Arabia and the other being London. He says the preferred location is Saudi Arabia because presumably that's where the most money is. He says the Saudis are working out individual deals with each fighter, which is different to the traditional deal structure in boxing, whereby there's one pot of money and each side agrees to a percentage of that pot. According to Arum, this is two separate deals. He said, quote, "The way they operate is they make deals with each of the fighters. We've been led to believe that they're going to come with a proposal this week. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's not like they haven't come through in the past," unquote. Now, that's not very positive language from Bob Arum. And those of you who have been paying attention will have noticed that there's been several negative inferences from Frank Warren, his son Francis, and even Tyson Fury throughout this negotiation process. And what I really want to know is, whose deal are they waiting on here? Is it Fury's deal or Usyk's deal? Bear in mind, a couple months ago, prior to the Fury-Chisora fight, Usyk's team seemed to indicate that their deal with the Saudis was already agreed. Can we then assume that the holdup here is with Fury's deal? That's a question for you guys. And if that is the case, why would that be? Why would Usyk be happy with his deal with the Saudis, but Fury not be happy with his own? Are we to believe that the Saudis are offering Fury less money to fight Usyk over there than he would get fighting Usyk in London? Because that's the only way you could justify fighting in London from a commercial standpoint. We need to know the highest amount the Saudis have offered Fury so far, because if he then turns it down, it may give us an indication of whether or not he actually wants this fight right now. Whatever the case may be, if the fight does go to London for whatever reason, they would revert to a conventional deal structure. And according to Bob Arum, this presents yet another stumbling block because Usyk wants 50-50 and Team Fury are not willing to give him that. He said, quote, "That's not right if the fight's at Wembley because there will be 95,000 Brits at that fight and big Brit pay-per-view money, so Tyson deserves the lion's share," unquote. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that Usyk deserves 50-50 based on what he's achieved and the fact he's got 3 belts and Fury's only got 1. But the reality is your commercial value in boxing is primarily determined by how many people are willing to watch you fight, not by how many belts you have. So who is the bigger commercial draw between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury? Well, up until September 2021, there was no argument. Fury was the bigger draw, hands down. But since then, Usyk beat AJ twice, and both fights reportedly did over 1.2 million pay-per-view buys each, which is roughly double what Tyson Fury's last 2 fights sold. And Usyk got 50-50 in the rematch. So the question is, has the exposure from those AJ fights elevated Alexander Usyk to the same level as Tyson Fury commercially? I wouldn't have thought so personally, not in the British market at least, because Usyk's a foreigner. And even in America, I'd imagine Fury's a much bigger draw. Perhaps Usyk's a bigger draw in Eastern Europe, but how much money does that market really generate? I don't know. But for argument's sake, let's just assume that Fury still is the bigger draw. He's then justified in demanding the lion's share. But precisely how big is that share? Bear in mind, he just offered AJ 60-40 coming off 2 losses. Is he offering Usyk more than that? Less than that? This is something we need to know so we can determine whether Fury's being reasonable or if he's trying to price himself out. What split do you guys think would be fair, all things considered? There are, of course, some instances where the A side is willing to accept 50-50 or even less because the B side has something they want, such as belts. An example of this would be when Anthony Joshua fought Charles Martin. AJ was a much bigger commercial draw, but he was willing to accept a smaller percentage in order to get a crack at Martin's IBF belt. Incidentally, Tyson Fury already agreed to give Alexander Usyk 50-50 during early negotiations last year, according to Mark Kriegel at ESPN. He said, quote, "This one is going to be 50-50. I spoke to Bob Arum today. He said, that is a given. My other sources agree. So we have one point of contention completely out of the way, or supposedly," unquote. So now it seems that Team Fury are moving the goalposts. This obviously raises some serious questions. How much does Tyson Fury want to be undisputed? How much does he want to have a win over Alexander Usyk on his resume? How high is his risk tolerance at this stage of his career? And you could ask the same question of Usyk, of course. But with Fury specifically, this is a man who has repeatedly claimed that he doesn't care about money, that he isn't in boxing for money. It's all about the fans, apparently. He famously claimed to have given his entire fight purse of several $1 million away to charity. He also said that he'd fight Anthony Joshua for free on free-to-air television and give all the tickets away because he just loves the fans that much. So to then turn around and deny the fans this undisputed fight because he wants more than 50% of the money would completely fly in the face of what he claims to stand for. But hey, it wouldn't be the first time, right? Now, normally when big fights actually get made, the deal gets done relatively quickly. But in this instance, negotiations have been dragging on for over 4 months now. They started shortly after the AJ Usyk rematch last August, and we're now in mid-January. When things get this protracted, it normally doesn't end well. We saw that most recently with Spence Crawford. Let's hope that doesn't happen again here. Do both parties really want this fight right now, as they claim? Or is one of them actually running down the clock, nitpicking contracts, and looking for a way out? I certainly hope it's the former, because an undisputed champion at heavyweight is long overdue, and this is ostensibly the closest we've ever been. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I'm out.